Good evening, everyone. Crypto and Bitcoin reversing much of yesterday's gains after the US bombing of Iran. But are we approaching a bottom? How far away is the bottom? When does this all end? When do I see things actually turning around? Well, let's get into it right now because I think we need to take a look at what is happening today and look at a broader time horizon as well to see what I think is likely to happen in the future. First of all, the Bitcoin spot chart, as you can see today, trading at a price of $68,205. Although we have been making something of a rebound in the last couple of hours, we have retraced most of yesterday's rally down from the highs of there to current pricing about 2.7% and to the lows of the day about 5.6%. I said in yesterday's video I didn't think that a scenario like that where we cooled off from these big green candles was particularly unlikely. In fact, that was basically my base case, what I was expecting the most. We have seen indeed over the last 24 hours $250 million worth of long positions liquidated as some of the traders that piled in on leverage long into those green candles became liquidated, forced to sell, supply was dumped on the market, and prices came down. We have also, over the last 12 hours, seen about $200 million worth of longs versus about $100 million worth of shorts liquidated out of the market, and that goes down to about 70 a piece over the last 4 hours. Let's get a quick look on where that is looking right now. We can see a pretty much even distribution of longs versus shorts in the market, which I think makes sense. A slight bias towards the short side, yes, because we are down on the day. That makes sense. Once again, zooming out to the 30-day time horizon, and you can see a fair difference in terms of there being more short side liquidation risk in the market, more shorts in the market on aggregate, which makes sense. Fear and greed index is actually up today, right? 20 on the fear and greed index. I think there's still a bit of hope going into this bounce yesterday, as we spoke about. The result of that, I think, honestly, in the short term is most likely down to the uncertainty versus the certainty of knowing that the bad thing has happened, i.e. the situation in the Middle East, and that being better for the markets, right, in terms of it being a more certain outcome, right? We know, at least for the time being, how bad that situation is. And it's not to say that that couldn't escalate. Obviously, that situation is very hot still, and uncertain times for sure, but slightly less uncertain, ironically, than the days leading into that bombing of Iran by the US. So, what have we got going on in the rest of crypto world? Because I think there's a lot of people basically pinning their hopes on this being the end of the downturn. I don't think we're quite there yet. But the longer we spend down here, I do believe the closer we get to the point at which we could say that things are actually likely to turn around. Like, let's have a look first of all at Ethereum, actually, right? Ethereum usage is at record highs, yet ETH nears its longest monthly losing streak since 2018. Now, why am I talking about this in the context of when I think it's likely for things to turn around? Well, the reason is the longer we spend in these downturns, right, the longer we spend every month that goes by that ETH is down, is getting closer and closer to that point at which historically it's likely things actually turn around. Ironically, the longer we spend in that downturn, the sooner we get potentially to the end of that downtrend. Ethereum's streak of monthly losses signals a re-evaluation of value amid strong network usage and compliance, and complicates investor narratives. Now, talking about investor narratives, look at this. Yesterday we spoke about MicroStrategy buying more Bitcoin. Today I'm going to speak to you about BitMine, I think Tom Lee, buying more Ethereum. Publicly traded Ethereum treasury BitMine is in fact the largest Ethereum treasury company. Added another 50,928 ETH for $103 million worth of Ethereum as the second largest crypto asset continued to slide last week, though ETH is now surging as of Monday morning. The latest acquisition brings its total haul to 4,473,587 ETH total, around 3.71% of the circulating Ethereum supply, now valued at $9 billion as Ethereum trades around $2,037, down about 22% in the last month. And as we've said, we're getting to the longest monthly losing streak since 2018. Why do I think this is relevant? Well, I think this is relevant because, say what you will about Tom Lee, okay, his timing on the market has been criticized. His potentially differing opinions with experts working in his fund, with analysts working in his fund. He's been criticized for that as well, and he's also been criticized for basically being a perma bull on the markets, right? Always being bullish. But you cannot deny that the guy is putting his money where his mouth is, and there's the reasons for this are twofold, right? First, complete discount, massive discount at which to acquire this asset. Second, we're still seeing things happening in the ETH space, right? Ethereum usage is at record highs. The network is getting usage, and it's clear that we're getting closer to a place where Ethereum is potentially coming into the space where we can talk about mass adoption, right? Actual real world utility of the network itself. Once again, Tom Lee buying into this dip as ETH nears its longest monthly losing streak since 2018. The same way that Michael Saylor from MicroStrategy looks like an absolute maniac and makes people very angry, given that he is always bullish about Bitcoin and he increases buying when the prices are low. Tom Lee, you could say the same thing about Tom Lee buying ETH when the prices are low. And once again, this is the kind of strategy that I plan to replicate, not because it is enacted by players like Tom Lee or by Michael Saylor or by anyone for that matter, but because it simply makes logical sense to me that we want to be acquiring this asset while it is down. While it is down, you don't look like a hero for doing that. You look like an absolute maniac. And that's why people get angry and emotional when they hear the name Tom Lee. And it's why they get angry and emotional when they hear the name Michael Saylor. But look at what these guys are doing and look at the historical context for how you succeed in this market. Now, let's bring it back to Bitcoin and away from ETH, for example, for the moment, right? Look at this metric, the MVRV Z score here. We're looking at Bitcoin Magazine Pro, and look at the levels that we are approaching, right? Levels that we haven't seen since just after 2022, levels that we haven't seen since 2018, and levels that we haven't seen since 2015, right? A little bit more context on this for you. MVRV Z score, broken down here by Michael Nadeau. BTC has entered, Bitcoin has entered the fair value zone across many of the important KPIs we track. Here we have the MVRV Z score, which measures how many standard deviations the BTC price is relative to its historical realized value. A few takeaways for the MVRV Z score dipping below the 0.4 level, which is where we are getting into right now. I think it's easier for you to see that on this chart here. Let me just move myself. There you go. In 2018, that metric, Bitcoin's price spent 54 days below the current level. In 2022, it spent 212 days below the current level. In the 2018 bear market, an allocation to BTC, the first time it dipped below 0.4, resulted in a 1-year gain of 76%, a 2-year gain of 53%, and a 2.5-year gain of 276%, and a 3-year gain of 434%. In the 2022 bear market, an allocation to BTC, the first time it dipped below 0.4, resulted in a 1-year loss of 7%. Okay, fine. A 2-year gain of 110% and a 2.5-year gain of 165% and a 3-year gain of 260%. With that said, in 2018, the Z score dropped all the way to minus 0.51 and minus 0.37 in 2022. But the point is, historically, when you've been buying into the market, when it's been depressed like this, okay, when it has been moved away from where its fair value is, right? Remember that the MVRV Z score measures how many standard deviations the BTC price is relative to its historical realized value. Another way that we can break that down, here we go. MVRV Z score is a Bitcoin chart that uses blockchain analysis to identify periods where Bitcoin is extremely over or undervalued relative to its fair value. The point is, historically, buying into these levels, buying into these extended periods of downturn, buying into these even record periods of downturn has yielded results, not necessarily immediately, okay? Like, let's be realistic about this. In 2018, buying into that in the first instance, in 2022, right? Buying into BTC the first time it dipped below 0.4 on the MVRV Z score resulted in a 1-year loss of 7%. In a 1-year loss of 7%. But after that, you get into the money. And it's not to say, right, when this metric hits this number, just start buying. It's to say, or at least for the way that I'm reading into this and the way that I'm using this data and choosing to deploy my capital based on this data, it is to say that As these prices get depressed, as the market gets upset, as it becomes clear that retail is leaving, people are no longer interested as much in leverage trading, this kind of thing, as people start to give up hope, and as we start to see metrics like this, which flag basically undervalued or overvalued, the winners are the people who have been buying into these prices historically. That is why I want to jack up my accumulation of spot BTC as we get down into these prices. Not looking at a lot of immediate short-term trading positions right now, or trading opportunities right now. Like I say, we're basically range bound for where we are right now. Technically speaking, and I spoke about this yesterday, one could argue we've entered an uptrend as of or bottoming out from the 24th of February, but I'm not seeing a great deal of strength in that. I do think, yes, we are getting closer to the point where this is at a bottom, but it's not part of my strategy to try and time the exact bottom. And just looking at the way things are going right now, we can't ignore the geopolitical situation. We can't deny the possibility that results in more inflation, which potentially results in more restrictive financial policies and less liquidity in the markets. But it does seem that we're getting closer to that point. Particularly interested in watching what happens with ETH now. Of course, the market is maturing, but it's less mature than Bitcoin. But there we go. For what it's worth, more and more data every day to support the fact that, yes, things are bad, but the longer things stay bad, we're getting closer to the point where things could realistically turn around. And historically, unless this all just goes to zero, which there is absolutely a chance of that, okay, nothing's completely impossible. Unless this all goes to zero, you will be rewarded, if history rhymes, for buying into these negative, desperate times for the market. But as always, not my advice, purely my opinion, shared just for entertainment purposes. I hope you found some of that interesting or even entertaining, but thank you so much for watching. Plenty more to come. Catch you in the next one.